Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip podcast. And today I am really pleased to have with me on the line Monique Lindner. Monique is a high performance and leadership specialist, TEDx speaker, and location independent entrepreneur. She works with business leaders and CEOs and their teams to help them optimize their efficiency, build solid leadership skills, improve their mindset, and create massive impact. Using her unique time method and her tagline, slow down to speed up, she is on a mission to help high achievers and busy business owners take back control of their time and energy and grow sustainable businesses while increasing their social impact. Monique, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Chef. It's amazing to be here.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, we were talking a little bit in the pre-show, in the pre-call about how you got
Yeah.
to where you are, right? Because now you're in Bali, right? I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and you have been traveling for a good long time, and you have this really cool, how should I say, you've basically set up yourself that you can be location independent and you can make this life happen for you in one of the most beautiful places, on earth. Can you talk a little bit about how you were able to create that and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So I think the most important thing is to understand where you're at and where you want to go, right? So for me, when I realized that my life isn't what I wanted to have, I was 19 years old. I died of a cardiac arrest and I was clinically dead for 25 seconds. And when I woke up, I literally just realized I was like, wow, my life is not at all where I want to be, who I want to be, what I want to do. And basically, the short story was I was just a people pleaser. And everything I did was just in rebellion to everyone around me. So my parents said, do this. So I obviously did the opposite. My grandparents said, do that. I did the opposite. And it was just a fight every single day. And so I decided, you know what? That's not what I want. That's not who I am. And I basically switched and just screwed my whole life over because I died anyways already. So what could go wrong, right? And I started to travel. I moved to London, and from then on, I just decided that everything that I wanted in my life is going to be a priority, and everything else will just be blankly cut out, to be honest, right? Whether that is people, whether this is things I did, whether this is, things I would work on. And so ever since, decision making was really not easy, but simple. It was like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. That's basically like the Mark Manson thing, right? And it's not always really easy to do that because sometimes you have to cut out things in your life that you think you really want or that is kind of like fun, but they just are not adding on to your life. So I decided to really go for creating time freedom in my life. And time freedom is when you really consciously and intentionally choose what you do with your life, whom you include in your life, basically, and where and how you spend your time. And this is a daily thing. And yeah, basically, there are a few steps I'm happy to talk about, to include, like, for example, setting boundaries and being really clear on your priorities, and everything else needs to fall out. That's really it. I don't watch TV, Netflix, movies, anything for over 10 years. I cut out alcohol out of my life because it didn't do anything for me. And I don't really party anymore, not because it's not fun, but it's not fun enough for me to miss the next morning. Things like that. And yeah, so another thing maybe to add is I was born in East Germany, and that means I was born behind the wall. And for people who don't know much about this historical event, maybe just Google the separation of Germany after the Second World War. And so my parents grew up in a town that wasn't allowed, basically, or that didn't allow their citizens to leave. So for 30 years, they spent only in this one place, didn't get any news from the outside world, not even from West Germany. And so their whole world was this one hometown of 500,000 people, or now it's 500,000. After the war, it was just like about 250,000. And it's a tiny world, right? To be living in. And if you're like leaving, you would be shot in the face. That was their reality. So I think I got this whole spirit, this free spirit of having to leave and explore the world, and to expand my horizon, and to bring that back to my family as well. And that's what I did.
Amazing. Wow, that's an amazing story. Now, when you're working with other leaders and you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
get them to take back that time, how does that work in your world? How do you get people, or convince them, or get them to figure out what is the best way for them to to get back, right? Because what happens is that, it's not just, not everyone can, go live in in a beautiful jungle. Some of us have kids, mortgages, we have to be in offices that, we have to supervise other people, right? So how does that work? How are you able to translate that into getting people to really take the next step and make that happen for themselves?
Yeah. I want to say that this life that I'm living is also not for everyone, because it looks really beautiful. This jungle area and this like pool in the back and whatever is wonderful. But I tell you, I think you need to be cut out to live in different countries where you don't speak the language, where you're challenged every single day. So I want to say, this life is not for everyone. It looks really beautiful, especially on social media, where you can see the highlight reel only most of the times, unless people like me. I'm gonna say 70%, right? I'm gonna be really honest. 70% of the times, I also tell you the shadow side of this life. But most of the times, you just see the highlight reel. You're swinging through the jungle. You look like Tarzan and Jane, but that's not the life. So I really appreciate you asking this, because you really want to get down first to what is the life you want to live, right? And this can look very different for every one of us. And maybe it is to live in Miami and have an office there and have a great team, but the way you live can be very different, right? Yes, you may have kids, but why can't you just take them on spontaneous trips within the country, or to a different country? Or if you don't like travel, which I know you do, but if you wouldn't like travel, for example, right, you can have amazing days spending with your wife and your kids, or with whomever you like, creating things that you love. It doesn't have to look like my life, right? But what we are starting to do is we're creating this big vision first. We are open possibilities, because a lot of times our horizon ends at our glass ceiling, and we're not daring to look beyond that. We have like this Berlin Wall in our minds. And so I'm here to break this down with you. And I ask questions. I'm like, so what if you could do XYZ? Or what if you would be able to do this and that, and the world could look like this for you? And then suddenly people are like, wow, yeah, this would be amazing. And is that possible? And it's totally, it just depends what what are you willing to prioritize. And here's the thing, I'm not about sacrificing. Sacrificing is bullshit. But the question is, do you prioritize watching Netflix 2 hours a day? Or do you prioritize maybe spending these 2 hours creating art, or going outside in the park, or going on a hike, or, watching fish in a tank if you love that, or going out on the boat and creating a good time? So this is really the question, because does Netflix give something to you? Or does the time out with your family on the beach, for example, give something to you? And where do you get more out of life, right? And yeah, go ahead.
So right, so basically, what I want to so I want to segue into your one big tip here, right? And what was really profound about me is basically you're asking people to slow down in order to speed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to get things done.
Yeah,
And I know that sounds
yeah,
contradictory, and you have a whole method for how to do it. I really want to dig into that, right? I really want to pick your brain on this because it really does sound counterintuitive. How do you slow down in order to get things to happen much more quickly for you?
right. So I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here because people do not like to hear that. Okay, so slow down to speed up comes from the basically it comes from the feminist approach, and here's where it's a little bit controversial because we're often getting into this, oh, but I'm not a feminist, whatever. Okay, fine, forget about this feminism approach, right? But patriarchy has been for tens of thousands of years telling us we need to be better, faster, harder, stronger, and do more things in shorter time. And what every one of us, every single person, is losing out on is quality of everything, quality of work, quality of life, quality of time, quality of people we are surrounding ourselves with, basically everything, right? We're also missing time to think. We don't have time anymore to just be and think and be like, you know what do I actually want really out of my life? Because when we do not have time to think, where do we get from what we want? The media? Ooh, we get it from social media, we get it from influencers, we get it from everywhere. And what happens? We're basically brainwashed into all of the things that we should do, we need to do, we should want to have. And suddenly it's not us anymore who decides, but it's the input from the outside. So when we finally can slow down and we can cut the outside influences and we can cut the bullshit, may I say, then we can come back to ourselves and we can listen to ourselves and hear what it is that we want, what it is that we don't want, what it is that we desire, what it is that we like, but it's not really that important. So, okay, Netflix, sorry that I use Netflix, sorry, Netflix, but Netflix is the perfect example because it's like, okay, we do it all the time, but do we really want it? Or is it something I can do like once a month? Or maybe just half an hour instead of 2. So slowing down allows us to get to all of the things that we really want with more quality, with more impact, and then one thing that I do is like helping people to focus more, and that needs a little bit more time. So yeah, focusing and slowing down allows us to just create so much more quality in our life and business.
How do you engage someone to actually accept the need to slow down, right? And then get
Mm-hmm.
them to turn that around so that they are able to speed up, right? Because it almost seems like it's
Yeah.
this like revolving thing where like you're going in one direction, you're making a 180-degree turn, and then like okay, like you're getting everything in order, and then you're making another 180-degree turn, and then you're going much faster, in order to achieve your goals. How do you get people to create that and to understand that and to be able to implement that into their lives without sacrificing, some of the other things that really matter?
Great question. So here's the very actionable step. So you might want to take a pen and a paper. First of all, I usually make my clients track their time over 3 weeks. So you can use any free apps like Toggle. It's with double G. And just track your time, but you got to be a little bit diligent. So you may feel like it's an extra chore in the beginning, but just get yourself to do it. And the reason why I should be doing it is you will see how much more things you do that you're not aware of. So, for example, you got to, with Taco, for example, you just need to push a button and when you start and when you finish, and then name the task you do. And I want you to do that really diligently. When you scroll social media, when you go to the bathroom, when you cook something, when you clean up, when you just sit there and do nothing, when you, whatever you do, any distractions, everything. And the reason why we do that is I don't want you to judge on that. That's a judgment free exercise. The most important thing is to raise awareness. Oh, look at that. I'm doing 30 minutes every day, this one thing, but do I really need to do that? Or do I want to do that? Or does it give me anything, you know? The same as with like scrolling social media. We're we're often saying, "Oh, I'm just doing that half an hour a day." And when we do this exercise, we will see it may be 4 times half an hour a day. And the reason why is because our brain is creating these stories to keep us safe. So, in order to step into a new reality, we need to be aware first and then break these habits and create new ones. But also, we need to be aware what stories we're telling ourselves. And we need to get uncomfortable. That's just how it changes. So, once we track these things and we see where we spend time that is unnecessary to spend, we want to make sure, okay, where are our priorities, right? So we want to set priorities. Now, what are priorities really? Because that's where people go wrong all the time. Priorities are things, again, time freedom. You want to remember that. Priorities are things that you decide you really want to spend your time on, and this time is invested so you get something back. You either get money back, or you get joy and peace back, or you get a time back, because that what can be reality too. For example, if you delegate tasks, you can get time back for yourself. And these things, right? You want to invest time, not spend it. That's a big shift to make. And once you understand it, you're gonna use your time very differently, right? So then you want to set priorities, and you can look it up. You can use methods, for example, the Eisenhower box. It's a very common thing and a very common method to use to prioritize, and it works like a charm, right? In my book, I have been writing about, I think, 3 different tasks, how to prioritize, and they are working brilliantly, what a word. And otherwise, you can just ask yourself a few questions. Does it give me money back? Yes, no, yes, wonderful, priority. Does it give me time back? Yes, no, yes, perfect, priority. And you can ask yourself, does it create peace of mind? Fantastic, another priority. So you want to really go by what is the outcome you would love to achieve, and then make these priorities. So once you have these priorities set and you know what you want as an outcome and what habits are in the way of that, then it's just a matter of shifting where you spend your time. And the reason why I'm not for sacrifice is because you will realize that there are things you spend time on that doesn't feel even like sacrificing not doing them anymore. Like once I stopped watching TV and Netflix and movies, it didn't feel like sacrifice at all. It was like a relief, and it felt like I gained so much life back from not doing it anymore.
That's an amazing. You touched on so many amazing things. One of the one of the methods that I've been implementing over the past couple months is scheduling my tasks. Right, so a task
Yeah.
list, right, will just sit there and it'll accumulate. Right, I got to get. And I also use a variation of that Eisenhower method. Where it's not important, not urgent, urgent but not important. Things like that. The way I have my
Yeah.
to do list set up is I have action this day, right? Got that from Winston Churchill, right? And I put a little fire emoji next to that. I have important and urgent, right? So those are things that, yeah, I do need to take care of at some point, right? I do need to, get give attention and give some love and, make sure it gets done. And then the third thing I have is the under 10-minute items, right? These are things that if I
Mm-hmm.
have some downtime, like that, I know this is going to take me maybe like 5 minutes to do, but it's not a priority, but it still needs to get done, right? And, what are under 10-minute items? Those are, like I can delegate a blog post to get written by someone on my team. I can, send off a couple of emails in between meetings, things like that. And what I found with that method is that it really gets me to start thinking about how many major tasks can I attack per day, right? And every once in a while,
Yeah.
I'll schedule in floaters, right, like a half an hour of just floating. So it's not necessarily defined, right? But it is something, but I'm still productive, right? It's not lunch where I'm completely off, right? But it is something that I can use this to sort of reset my head so I'm not working on the really high focus type items, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think what you were talking about with the, just documenting your time in a non judgmental way is absolutely gold because I
Yeah.
think what happens is that, people will either judge themselves or, God forbid, somebody's going to look at my thing and like, oh God, I wasted 45 minutes on, that YouTube review. Yeah, that could be a problem. But then again, if that's how you reset and recharge, maybe you should be scheduling that into your time, right? And really getting that into your
Yes.
process, right?
Yes. And you touch on something great because so that first thing was literally just the first step to get to the point of where we can start shifting time, right? And what you said about scheduling, that's a great way to start getting more structure in your life. Because here's the thing, what people also don't understand, especially if they become entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I want this freedom. I'm going to start winging it. It's all great and I can do whenever I want to do. And then they lose track of everything and the to-do lists just pile up and they're so long. They don't know anymore when to do it. They feel overwhelmed. They work 60, 70 hours a week. It's just burnout is literally on the horizon, coming closer and closer, right? And the reason for that is because humans need structure. We can fight it however we want it. Every single person, even on the spectrum, even ADHD, even whoever else, can basically fight the structure thing. And I'm not saying you all need the same structure. That's not the point. The point is our brains are built on structure, on neural pathways. They're built on mirror neurons. They're built on neurotransmitters. And the way our brain works is literally on routines and habits, which is why habit stacks, and certain routines will help you create more freedom. And that's also this counterintuitive things. Wait, how can structure create more freedom for me, right? And so scheduling is amazing. And I created a few different types, which I call the chrono energy types, which help you based on your chronobiology, which is like a 24-hour clock based on like day and night and body temperature and different hormonal influences on the body, basically, which is usually our circadian rhythms, right? So when do we sleep? When do we wake up? All these type of things. And under the umbrella, it's called chronobiology. And there are certain types that we already know for quite a few years, so more or less since the 1950s. And now, though, in my research and also my work over the past 15-ish years with a lot of high performance leaders, CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs, but also employees, right? I figured out there's another thing that influences us, and it's our energy flow throughout the day, because our energy does not stay the same. It comes almost like in waves. And a lot of times it's based on the lunar cycle, so with the moon, and also in connection with our circadian rhythms. So I created this chrono energy types, and now we can look at, okay, what does your chronobiology look like? So you can track your, you can basically track like, when do you wake up? When do you go to sleep? But it should be naturally. Nothing to do with like taking sleep medication or anything. If you have to do that, it would be good to just see when you do wake up naturally, and don't set alarm clocks if you don't have to. And then based on that, you can see, okay, throughout the day, while you track your tasks, you can also look, when does your energy really is high and when is it really low, and does it dip really fast or does it just go in waves? And with that, you can schedule your tasks based on your energy flow, right? So your most important tasks, chef, you want to schedule them when your energy is high, because that also means your brain is basically really focused, right? And you can use that energy to put into your most important tasks in high quality, right? And those under 10-minute tasks, as you call them, which is awesome, you can do them in your low time. And as you said, there will be things that recharge us. The way I recharge, because you mentioned YouTube, is I watch tarot readings on YouTube. Because I love to learn about tarot and all of the things. I have my Woo site, so don't judge me. And I love to watch tarot readings to recharge. So that's what I do. And yes, there are 20 minutes on YouTube just gone, but then I am fuller of energy, and I'm ready to attack my next task.
You're ready to go and attack, like the next thing. And, like as you ride that higher energy wave, you're able to actually make that happen for yourself, right? And I think that's really the
Yeah.
big thing, right? That if you can cut out, some of those artificial ways, like, like drinking coffee or sleeping pills or, whatever it is, artificially to get you into the rhythm. Sometimes you have screaming kids, which are also like, natural alarm clocks, right? Where you really got to be careful about, who you're shutting out and who you're letting in. But, like if you can figure out what those waves are and how they affect you and how the different, and how those rhythms happen throughout your day, because like how it happens in my day is going to be much different than yours. It's very important to understand how how that comes about, and once you understand how that comes about, now you can take action on it, right? And that's really the big thing, is that you're
Yes.
taking action on the actual on the actual tasks that you need to actually get done, right? And if you're doing those, those tasks that do make you more money, that do give you more time, that do give you more freedom, and do give you more happiness, then great. That's really what it's all about. So, thank you so much for sharing that. That's been really awesome. Can you please take a few minutes
Thank you.
and tell people how they can learn more about what it is that you do and how they can reach out to you directly if they'd like to learn more?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. So, right now, my new thing that I'm absolutely excited about is my membership. Because my membership basically is the most affordable and simple, easy access to me that people can get and work with. So, basically, what we do is we have live workshops every month. And then we have an accountability week where we work together and create those results for you and help you integrate all of what we're doing together on the workshops. And then we have a coaching call where we come together as a group and we literally figure out, okay, where is it still something that we need to adjust for you, or that is something missing for you. And after that, basically, we have more resources for you. Could be worksheets, could be a podcast, something like the One Big Tip podcast that we share with you. And then we are basically helping you within this 1 month. There's basically a very specific topic. For example, the chrono energy types and how to implement them in your life and business to create less work and more life. And within this 1 month, we help you to really integrate that in your business and life. And then with this topic, you're done. You have it basically, right? So within 30 days. And so every month there's a different topic, and we really help you to create the life you love, whilst increasing your impact and sharing this time freely. And this membership is called the highperformancelab.com. And you can join us. And if you join before the end of June, you can join for the first month for only $22 if you use the discount code create the change, all in capitals. Create the change. So join us. That would be amazing. And otherwise, you find me on Facebook with my full name. I'm yellow, so you will always find the yellow one. That's me. And yeah, that's the two best ways to find me right now.
Amazing stuff. Monique, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. This has been an excellent conversation. I love nerding out on time management and time development and all that. So,
Yeah.
this has really been great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. And thank you for making it work that I can join from Bali because, it's a little early, but I love the early mornings anyways. That's when I have the most energy. So, yeah, I'm so glad that I could join the One Big Tip podcast.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too.